Hi, this is Tom. This is a little video that I'm putting together as a present to all of my family and friends and students who are interested in it. It's only going to be about a half hour, 45 minutes, and it's a gift to you from me. And it's the thing I have, it's the knowledge I have, my understanding of this practice that I want to convey to you. So I'm going to speak in just a few minutes about what yoga is, and then I'm going to give you a little practice, or we're going to go through a small, sort of a mini class. So anyway, just have a seat and relax. I just want to say a couple of things about yoga so that you'll understand what this thing is. Okay, yoga is a practice that's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it's not religious-based, it's non-sectarian. So anybody of any belief can practice yoga. It's more what is called a spiritual practice rather than a religious practice. And it's a practice for self-realization. And what is this thing called self-realization? Well, from a yogic perspective, it's the idea of going inside and realizing your true self that is underneath all of the facade and societal influences and educational influences and familial influences that we see ourselves through. You want to sort of remove yourself outside of those things to see your true self within that isn't clouded by those things. And the purpose of that is because it leads you to a sense of understanding and contentment in life. And what happens is you want to not be so influenced by all of the things of life that throw our mind and emotions off kilter. They're not necessary. So the yoga practice teaches us ways to not be engaged with those things that bring us distraction in life, those things that bring us suffering in life. Those things that bring us suffering are usually mental or emotional things that go on in our life that we dwell on, that we focus on, that we're sorrowful about or joyful about or whatever. Even joyful experiences want to be looked at through this lens because they come to an end at some point that ultimately leads to a bit of suffering. So from the yogic perspective, we want to remove ourselves from all of that stuff so that we can see the real self within or understand who we really are so that we're content with that. And then ultimately, as a yoga practitioner, you're looking for a life of contentment. You're looking for a life of fulfillment where you're doing the work that you need to do, you're in the family that you need to be in, and you're living where and how you want to do. And for some of us, it takes a lot of work to do that. So that the way that we do this, there's a prescribed method of practices, and they're called the 8 limbs of yoga. And it starts off with how we relate to the world around us. Things like non-harming, truthfulness, the appropriate use of energy, your own personal internal energy, not using your energy for bad things in life, and not being greedy, not being a hoarder, because there's plenty of other people out there who need, and our hoarding denies them something. Okay, that's the first limb of yoga. The second limb of yoga is how do we relate to ourselves? How do we deal with our own world? Well, these practices are cleanliness, self-study, where you look within and you sort of objectively assess you and your life and how you're living your life. Then there's tapas. This word means fire or fervor. This is the fire within us that makes us ambitious, that makes us practice, that makes us live our life with activity. Then there's contentment. Wherever you're at in your life, in the world, whatever socioeconomic area you're in, whatever physical location you're in, whatever's going on with you, you want to develop a sense of contentment, because this is the way it is. You can't change a lot of things. I can't change who my parents were. Right now, I can't change where I live. So I have to form a level of contentment around those things. And the other thing, as far as self-care, is recognizing that there's a divinity within all of us. Recognizing that this true self that we look for is in truth a quality of divine essence within us. So those are the first two limbs of yoga: how we deal with the world outside of us, how do we deal with the world within us. Okay, then the next limb of yoga is the asana, or the physical positions that we do. And these physical positions are what is most commonly thought of as yoga, but they're just a small part of the big picture. So these physical positions are designed to tone up the body, prepare the body and mind for some of the deeper work that you do in the later stages of yoga. Okay, so you tone the body so you can sit upright and focus the mind. You tone the body so you can breathe with awareness in your breath practice. And then the next limb of yoga is called pranayama, or that breath practice. So the pranayama practice is a practice of breath regulation. And the purpose of the breath regulation is to notice how the breath can affect the psychological and energetic state that we exist within. So by changing my breath, I can change how I feel. By changing my breath, I can change how I think, whether differently or the same. So this is an important practice. So the first two limbs, yamas and niyamas, and they're how you practice, how you treat the world outside of you, how to treat your world within you. Then the asana, the physical practices. Then the breath practices, pranayama. Then the next layer of practice, or the next practices, are called pratyahara. And this means removing your senses from the outside world and really looking within. Because our problem is our senses of perception. Everything that is outside of me, my senses see. I touch, I taste, I see, I listen. And if I can stop those sensory feedback loop, if I can stop that, I can be more content within. I can look within. I can be more introspective. And that's what this idea is in the fifth limb of yoga, pratyahara. You remove your senses from the external world. Okay, the next three layers of yoga, or the next three practices of yoga, have to do with meditation. You start, it's dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So the first one is meditating on an object. So I pick a thought, or I pick a word, and I repeat it, and I focus my mind on it, and it calms down my mind. That's concentration. The next layer of yoga, dhyana, is meditation. And this is a practice of having nothing in your mind, being thought-free, and in that state of non-thinking. It's a challenging position to get to. You have to really work up towards it. It's not something you can do right away. The last limb of yoga is called samadhi. And this is a practice, really not a practice. It's what happens to you when everything else is right. When the other 6 limbs of yoga, 7 limbs of yoga are done well, through a long series of practices, you just tone the body, mind, and breath to this state of equanimity, and that's that samadhi. So, this 8 limb of yoga path is not dependent on any religious belief. It's simply a moral and ethical series of practices that lead you to become a more full human being. I mean, one of the thoughts about this thing called yoga is that we are not born with the user's manual as far as being a good human being. The yoga practice gives us a framework, a series of practices that are tried and true for thousands of years. Very intelligent and smart people have practiced these and used these techniques to become more user-friendly with our body, mind, and breath. And in this, hopefully, one develops a sense of contentment with their self and their life and not be at odds with things. Anger issues diminish, you become more integrated with the community around you, you appreciate the things that you have in life. When you look at them from this objective point of view, you appreciate the world and the people around you much more. So that's the purpose of yoga, to understand yourself and to be a better member of our society and our culture. And that's why it's worth practicing. That's why it's worth studying. And there's different levels of study. Nobody's expected to be an advanced yoga practitioner right off the bat. What you do is you start off with the physical practice of yoga. What we're going to do in a little bit, I'm going to lead you through some physical practices. Then you go deeper and deeper. But it's all right not to be the deepest practicing yogi on the planet. Just touch it a little bit. Just get your foot wet a little bit and see what you think. Okay? So, I'm now going to lead you through about a half hour of yoga practices or asanas, and then maybe 20 minutes of asana, and then maybe another few minutes of breath practice, pranayama. Okay, so there's a few things about a physical practice of yoga. Number one, it's not a competition, and there's no like silver medal if you get someplace on it. It's simply an inner awareness that we're seeking, this inner understanding. So we do that through starting to work with the physical form. The thing that we have, the only thing that we're given in this world, everything else is transient. Even our body is transient, but it's the thing we're given. So it's the vehicle that we can work with. We can't work with anything else, only ourselves. That's what we're given. Okay, so please stand up. Okay, I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit. Okay, so stand with your feet hips width distance apart and parallel with one another. Put your palms alongside your thighs. Stand up straight. Now put your mind in your feet and pick up and spread the toes. And from the base of the toe to the tip of the toe, lengthen the toes and put them back upon the floor. Okay, now feel the bottom of your foot. And it's better if you're on a hard surface than a carpet, but you can do it on a carpet as well. And start to take more weight to the base of the big toe and the inner heel. And then lift the arches of the feet. Contract the quadriceps and lift the kneecaps upwards. Now stick with that. Keep your kneecaps lifted and put your arms alongside your thighs and make your vision level to the floor. And lift your chest and extend your fingers down towards the floor. Now, dynamically straighten the elbows and extend your fingers downward. Roll your upper outer shoulders towards the wall behind you and lift your chest up. Lift your chest up. Now maintain the lift of the chest and slowly bring the arms up over the shoulders. Now, think about your elbows and straighten them. Think about the knees and straighten them. And now, lift your rib cage up. Lift your arms up so that the whole rib cage lifts upwards. Then, relax the shoulder blades down the back and soften the face. Relax the jaw and pay attention now to the breath. Smooth, soft, even, and consistent. Okay, release your arms. Relax. Okay, now you might not have a block, you might not have anything as far as props goes, but you certainly have something around the house, a chair, a coffee table, a couch. I want you to go over with your hands on a support, even if it's a chair, and stay here. And don't go, look at me, don't go down like this. Come up like this. And lift your chest upward and outward. And begin to think about the legs and feet. And pick up and spread the toes and lengthen the toes out in front of you. And then lift the arches of the feet. Contract the thigh muscles to lift the kneecaps. Now move your thighs backwards and lift your chest upward and outward. And soften the face and relax the jaw and breathe easy. But strive for stability in the legs and the feet. Be firm and stable there. So the kneecaps are continually lifting. The thigh muscles are hugging into the bone of the thigh. Okay, good. Then slightly bend your knees and come on. Okay, now you don't even need a sticky mat. You don't need anything to do this stuff. You can do this on a floor or a carpet or whatever you need. But I'm going to be on a sticky mat, clearly. Okay, so just follow along. Everybody widen their feet from one another. And put your hands on your hips. Now, put your mind in the bottom of the feet and push the feet down and engage the thigh muscles to lift the kneecaps. Lift the chest and bring the elbows together so that the chest opens. Okay, maintain all of these qualities and turn your right foot out and your left foot in. Keep your left hand on your left hip and raise your right arm. And reach off to the right side and put your right hand onto your right shin. Now straighten the legs dynamically. And roll your left shoulder back and raise the left arm to the ceiling and look to the left thumb. Come up. Face your feet forward. Turn the left foot out, the right foot in. Square your pelvis towards the knee. Raise the left arm. Keeping the legs dynamic and straight, reach off to the left, put your left hand onto your left shin, start bringing your right elbow back, right shoulder back, raise the right arm, look up to the right thumb. Go back to your legs and make the legs stable and strong. Then come up, face your feet forward, make the feet parallel with one another, wide, and go over. Now, if you can't easily put your hands onto the floor, you can use something else. A block, a book, a blanket, a pillow, whatever. Now think about the legs and dynamically activate the legs. Lift the kneecaps, move the thighs backwards, and lift your chest upward and outward. And roll the shoulders back away from your ears. Now soften your face. Soften your jaw, soften your breath. And keep your mind now focused on the breath. And make the breath smooth, soft, even, and consistent. Okay, slightly bend the knees and come on up. Walk your feet back together. Okay. The next, we're going to do another posture, and you're going to start with your legs wide like so. And then you're going to put your hands on your hips, and you're going to turn your right foot out and your left foot in, and you're going to square the pelvis towards me. And once again, engage the thigh muscles, lift the kneecaps. Maintain all of these things, and bend the right knee to a 90-degree angle. Then raise the arms and look out over the right shoulder. Lift the chest and drop the shoulder blades. Now just stay here and focus your mind on the breath. Smooth, soft, even inhalations and exhalations. Come up. Face your feet forward. Turn the left foot out, right foot in. Square the pelvis towards me. Raise the arms. Bend the left knee. Look out over the left shoulder. Lift the chest. Drop the shoulder blades. Stabilize the legs. Push the feet down into the floor. Lift the chest up. Come up. Face your feet forward. Walk the feet back together again. Now, either you can put your hands onto the floor or you need some support. If you need some support, you need support if your knees are bending. So keep your legs straight and go over onto some support, either a block or a blanket or a pillow or something, and eventually you'd like to go over as far as you can. Let the crown of the head go down towards the floor. But your mind wants to be in the body. Focus on the legs. Contract the thigh muscles and lift the kneecaps. Soften the face, relax the jaw, and breathe easy. Okay, good. Come up. Okay, so that's just a couple of standing postures to sort of get well grounded. Now, we're going to do a little back bend, and this is how it works. You're going to be laying on the floor. You don't have to, any kind of a floor surface is good. And you're going to have your knees bent, and you're going to lay back like so. Now, you're going to take your hands and try to bring your hands as close to the feet as possible. If they don't get there, don't worry about it. And then from here, you want to push the feet down and pick the pelvis up. A lot. Push the feet down and pick the pelvis up. Now, roll the shoulders down and lift the chest up. And stay here. Then you're going to slowly come down. And you're going to rest. And we're going to do that again. You're going to push your feet down, pick up the buttocks, lift the chest. Push the feet down, pick up the pelvis. Push the shoulders down, lift the chest. Good. Slowly come down. Release. Just rest with your back on the floor for a moment. And then roll over to the side and sit up. Let me just say something here. I'm just giving you a small little practice here. In the yoga practice, there are a lot more postures. But these postures are enough to whet your appetite. These postures are enough to give you a sense of what's going on. Okay, so that was the back bend. We've got a couple of forward standing poses. Now I want you to sit on a blanket. Or sit on something, a pillow or something. And I want you to bend your knee. And I want you to lift your chest. And I want you to twist towards the bent knee. Twist to the right-hand side. Come back to center, extend that leg out, bend the other leg. Now twist to that side. Rotate your spine, look out over that shoulder. Come back to center, do the first side again. Twist to the side, rotate the spine. Go back to center, first side again. Rotate the second side, rotate the spine. Okay, come back to center, extend that leg out. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do is you're gonna use a wall to put your legs up. So, many houses, there's a lot of stuff against the walls. A really good place to do is a closed door if you don't have any wall space. So very simply, you're gonna put one of your hips against the wall and you're gonna lay back and down with the buttocks as close to the wall as possible. Now, many of you will need support for the head. So you put a blanket under the head and neck, and you'll let your arms go to the side like so. And just stay here. with your legs up the wall for a few minutes. Okay, then you're going to bend your knees, you're going to roll over to the side, and you're going to sit. Okay, now I want to do just a little bit of breath work. So what I want you to do is just lay flat. Lay flat with a blanket under your head. If you're cold, you can put a blanket over you. If you don't have a blanket, you can use a pillow. Anyway, lay back like so. Relax with your eyes closed. And we're just going to do 5 more minutes. And what I'm going to have you do for this 5 minutes is called pranayama, the practice of breath regulation. Okay. The first thing you do is relax the body completely. Let the body soften and relax. The next thing you do is you soften your senses. You relax the tongue, you soften the eyes, you relax the ears, you let your nasal passages relax, you soften the brain. Create the experience where the brain is relaxing away from the inner surface of the skull. Okay. Now, there's a little valve at the back of the throat. And if you slightly close this valve, you will be able to listen to your breath. So please do that. Create the experience in your head where you're listening to yourself breathe. Now, listen to that sound of your breath. And make that breath sound more smooth. Make the sound of your breath more soft. Make the sound of your breath more even and consistent. And I'm basically asking you to keep your mind on the sound of your breath and don't let it waver. Okay, slowly take a couple of deeper breaths. Slowly open your eyes, bend the knees, roll over to the side and sit up. So, this is my gift to all of you, is a short half-hour yoga practice that I hope will inspire you to seek some practice in your life that gives you contentment. To seek something in your life that helps you deal with the world at large. I have found this thing, yoga. I wish the same for you, in whatever fashion works for you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for indulging me of this little gift. Take care. Bye-bye.